Hey friends, and welcome to today's class. For today, I do have a set of blocks with me, not a requirement, but something that could be supportive and something that could allow for a little bit more expansion in some of our poses during today's class. We're going to be focusing on increasing the mobility within our spine. So again, if you find that you like to have a little bit more movement into that space or a little bit more support, go ahead and grab some blocks, but again, not a requirement to flow today. So whenever you have your space and what you need, let's go ahead and meet in a seated position. And I'm going to grab one of these blocks. I'm just going to slide it underneath my sit bones, give myself a little bit of support. And this class is a flow that's going to create space, create mobility. It's going to be a mix of effort and ease. And so it's more dependent on how challenging you find these movements to get into these movements and how much effort your mind and body are invested in making today. So it can be super passive motion. It can just be feel good. Or if you're looking to push your boundaries of movement, then maybe you'll find that today is a little bit more effortful. But first things first, let's find stillness. Taking a moment to ground and center. Always taking a few breaths, a few moments to arrive onto your mat. To take note of the version of you that's coming onto the mat today. And checking in and getting a feel for what it is that your body does need. How much does it need? Feel free to rest your hands, maybe one palm resting the other. Maybe the palms are down onto the thighs. Wherever you choose to be, finding that anchoring of the sit bones, whether they're on the heels, the mat, or the block. Finding a nice tall spine from this space. Maybe even closing the eyes. Feeling a nice, slow, deep, and steady pacing of your inhales and your exhales. And since we are focusing on the spine today, make those breaths, those inhales, even deeper. Not only feeling the rise of the rib cage flaring out in front of you, but feeling the side of the body expand, the back of the rib cage expand. Feeling that whole container just fill up with air. And take note of any restrictions that you feel with your breath, even just being here in this space. Are you able to find the depth that you're looking for? Are you able to feel that sensation in different areas of that rib cage? With the expansion of that belly, as you fill it up with air, are you able to feel left to right the rib cage getting bigger? Are you able to feel the front and the back of the body get further away from one another? Two more breaths. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. If you did have a block underneath you, go ahead and take that out. If being in this space on the tops of your feet, if it becomes too intense in any capacity, you're more than welcome to slide a little bit of supports underneath you. But we're going to offload the ankles a little bit by just bringing the fingertips out in front of you. So you're still anchored within the hips, but we're going to find a little bit of mobility, a little bit of freedom from this space. So like we would if we were on hands and knees, which we will get to, but just from a different space, we're going to be working through just some mobility within the spine, some freedom within the spine. So feel free to find some little barrel rolls, just some snaking of the spine left to right. In this position, the hips are relatively stationary, so it encourages you to move a little bit higher up in the spine. Maybe in areas that feel like they don't get as much movement. And just kind of wiggle side to side, forward and back. Just kind of scan the body a little bit more and see what feels maybe unnatural, maybe a little forced, stuck or sticky, or even some areas that feel like you just cruise right into it. It feels good. You're getting there with ease. And then I want you to find your center, fingertips stay out in front of you. Find a nice long neutral spine to start. And then on your next inhale, I want you to draw the chest forward between the shoulders, tailbone flicks back behind you. Gaze lifts up toward the sky or at least above the horizon. And then exhale round, scoop that tailbone underneath you. Use the fingertips to kind of press the upper back in space, shoulder blades spread wide. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, round. Trying to make these motions a little bit bigger as we go. Inhale, forward. Roll those shoulders back and down. Exhale, round. One more round, inhale. And exhale, round. Inhale back to that neutral spine. Sit yourself back up. Tall seat. Inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, just cactus those arms for me. Open through the chest. Using the shoulder blades to scoop the heart up toward the sky. And then inhale, arms back up overhead. Reach tall, and on the exhale, cactus the arms. Feel free to flick that tailbone back behind you. Get a little bit more movement all the way through the spine. And then inhale, arms straight up overhead. Tuck that tailbone back down toward the floor. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. And on the exhale, right fingertips plant outside the right hip. Left arm up and overhead, reaching toward the right side of the room. Keeping that left sit bone anchored down toward the left heel. Inhale back through center. And then exhale over toward the left. Left fingertips plant, right arm reaches up and over. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Come on to hands and knees. Feel free to tuck the toes and just kind of shift your weight back into the heels a little bit. Coming off the tops of the feet there. It can feel intense for anybody to be in that kind of position for a prolonged period of time. So just work through that space. And then go ahead and come into that neutral tabletop position. And we're going to start to find those similar movements. So feel free to start exploring through the spine, see what feels good by just taking some barrel rolls, maybe some cat-cows, maybe incorporating some weight shifts forward and back as you move into that space. Exploring a little bit more freedom than from the position we were in just prior to. And you are in your home. It is just you and your computer and your laptop, whatever it is just you in your home. So have some fun with it. Explore your space. Let it feel good. Make the movements as big as your body allows. Three more breaths. And again, trying to explore the entirety of the spine from top to bottom, noticing where it feels stuck and moving, especially through those places. So maybe you're moving a little bit slower, more intentionally, more dramatically, and find your way into tabletop position. Nice long and neutral spine. Lift of the belly button up and in toward you. Back of the neck is nice and long. Gentle lift of the back of the head up toward the sky. And take note of what it feels like to be in this nice supportive spine, or have this nice supportive spine in this shape. On your next inhale, tailbone lifts up towards the sky. And then use that momentum as the belly falls, chest pulls through the shoulders as the gaze lifts. And then exhale, start to tuck the chin in towards the chest. Use that momentum to then puff up through the upper back. And then start to tuck the heart in. And tailbone tucks under, maybe an engagement of the low belly. Inhale, reverse, tailbone lifts, belly falls, rib cage falls down, chest pulls through the shoulders as the gaze lifts. Exhale, tuck the chin towards the chest, puff up through the upper back, round through the lower part of the spine as the tailbone tucks under. Inhale, reverse. Moving nice and slow, feeling every segment open, and then exhale, round. One more round, inhale. And exhale. Inhale back to that neutral spine. From here, we're going to go ahead and bring the hand to the back of the head. Elbow is staying nice and wide. So that right hand, is on the back of the head. On that inhale, you're reaching the back of that elbow up toward the sky as you gaze over toward the right. And then the exhale, you're going to kiss the right elbow to the inside of the left arm. Inhale, open up. Drive that elbow nice and wide. Exhale, elbow to elbow. Tap. Inhale, open. Exhale, tap. One more round, inhale. Open. Maybe release the hand from the back of the head. Reach the fingertips towards the sky. Can you reach even further? And on the exhale, dive that right arm underneath the left armpit. Drop that right shoulder down to the mat. Right ear to the mat. Left arm out in front of you. Coming to thread the needle. Oh goodness, I hope you can hear me down here. But we're coming in to thread the needle. Keep those hips high. Reaching through those right fingertips, coming onto that right shoulder, and walking the left hand out in front of you. Finding your breath. Left hand comes back underneath the left shoulder. Press yourself up. Right hand comes back to meet the left. Working our way onto the other side. Left hand back behind the head. Again, keep that neck nice and long. Gentle press of the back of the head into the hand. Elbow is nice and wide. And then leading with the outer edge of that elbow, you reach it towards the sky. Toward the right side of the room to really spiral through the chest. And then on the exhale, left elbow kisses the inside of the right. Inhale, open. Using the heel of that right hand to really guide the motion open toward the left side of the room as the left elbow reaches toward the right side of the room. Exhale, elbows kiss, round it in. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Keep it open, keep it open. Release the hand from the back of the head. Can you reach those left fingertips even further, spinning the chest even more so to the left side of the room? And then on the exhale, dive that left arm underneath the right armpit. Drop that shoulder down. Walk the left hand out. And finding a nice push-pull sensation between left and right side. So you want to reach the right fingertips toward the top of the mat, but you also want a gentle push through those fingertips to keep those hips back in space. And keep reaching the left fingertips over toward the right side and resting on that left shoulder. And maximizing our twist, our space here. The right hand comes back down underneath the right shoulder. Press yourself up. Come back into tabletop position. Feel free to shimmy side to side, maybe puffing up through the upper back. Finding a gentle rounding of the spine. Bring those knees a little bit wider toward the edges of the mat. Big toes come to touch, child's pose. Finding a little bit of symmetry here. Go ahead and pull yourself forward onto your belly. Coming down onto the mat. Fingertips coming into 10 and 2. Working our way through oscillating cobra. Forehead down onto the mat. Fingertips toward the edges of the mat. Tops of the feet down. And on the next inhale, peel that chest up and off the floor. Nice and slow. Slight engagement through the lower body to support the spine, support the low back as you lift. And then exhale, fall nice and slow. Be dramatic. Let it be spacious. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. 2 more rounds. Maybe you move faster, maybe you move slower. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Left fingertips stay tented onto the earth. Right arm comes out into a capital T. Bend the left knee. Reach those left toes over toward the right wrist. Find a nice little twist. Come on back through center. As you find your center, your right fingertips come down to the earth. The left hand comes out into that capital T. You bend through the right knee, reach those toes over toward the left wrist. Find your twist. Come on back through center. Hands stay to the top of the mat. Go ahead and press yourself up, keeping the hands toward the top of the mat. Like you're in a lengthened tabletop position. You're going to drop the chest down, hips stay high. You're going to come into puppy pose. And when coming into puppy pose, if you did grab a set of blocks and you want a little bit more expansion through the chest, through the upper back, you're welcome to place those blocks underneath your hands just to get a little bit more lift. Creates more space between you and the mat in this particular instance to allow that chest to really drop down and in. So keep those hips nice and high. Chest falls heavy. Almost like those shoulder blades are encouraging the chest and the heart to kiss the mat, to fall heavy toward the earth. It's just a gentle, loving nudge. Gently press through the hands, lift the chest. Maybe bring the blocks a little bit closer towards you. You can keep them or you can set them off to the side. But you're going to go ahead and tuck your toes, lift the knees, exhale, downward facing dog. Make any adjustments that you need to accommodate your shape.
And then as you come into your downward facing dog, feel free to pedal the feet. Maybe you want to walk them in a little bit closer to start so that you can work through the back line of the legs if you feel like that's necessary for you. But whatever you feel like you need to just kind of free up some space within the lower body and then continue the exploration within the hips, the spine. And on the next breath or so, you're going to settle into your downward facing dog. On your next inhale, heels lift up high towards the sky. Exhale, drop the heels over toward the left, keeping your chest facing the mat. Hips are bumping over toward the left side of the room. Feeling a nice side body opener from the right rib cage all the way through the waist, through the armpit. And then inhale those heels back to center, come high up onto those toes. And then exhale, heels drop over toward the right, open through the left side body. Really pulling that left hip back in space to create that opening. And then inhale back through center, high up onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple, find your way to high plank. Take your time, make it deliberate. And again, make it spacious. We're going to do a few rounds, so finding a little bit more mobility with every round. Exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, heels lift up high. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple. Hips high to the sky, rounding all the way from the low back, the mid back, the upper back, as you unravel high plank. Pause, and then bend the knees, maybe finding a nice little cow pose as you make your way back, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple that energy. Find space, create space. Bend the knees, cow pose as you find your way back, downward facing dog. 1 more round. Inhale. Exhale. Round and ripple. After a little pause, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Maybe you find a little bit more length in this downward facing dog. A little bit more energy within the upper body, within the spine, maybe a little bit more length through the lower body. On your next inhale, heels lift up high towards the sky. Exhale, heels drop over toward the left. On your next breath, go ahead and release that right hand. Send the hips back toward the feet, toward the back of the mat. And then on the inhale, you're going to press through the feet, send the body forward, coming into Vashisthasana, side plank. Right arm reaches up and overhead, lift through the right side, scooping up with the left. And then exhale, sit those hips back, maybe cactus the arms if that feels good. Need a little bit more grip through the mat. The block didn't do it for me. As you send your hips back in space, settle here for a moment and spring yourself forward. Reach with that right arm. Lift and open through the right side body. Exhale, sit those hips down. Maybe cactus the arms. Sit low. Spring yourself forward, expand. Scoop up with the left side waist, lifting up through the right. And then go ahead and bring that right hand back down, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, heels over toward the right side. Free up the left hand as you send the hips toward the back of the mat, down toward the feet. Spring yourself forward, coming to Vashisthasana on the right side. Inhale, that left arm up and overhead. Really lift up through the hips. Lift up through the side waist. And then exhale, send yourself back. Inhale, come into Vashisthasana, open up. Exhale, sit low, maybe cactus that arm. Inhale, come forward. Really expand, scoop and lift. And then make your way back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Roll over the toes, drop the knees. Big toes come together to touch. Sit the hips back, child's pose. Letting the spine settle, the hips settle. Leaving enough room between your thighs for the belly to fall and fill with breath without restriction. And if you feel like that's not something that you're able to find here in this moment, go ahead and come back up. Find a nice kneeling position that we started in as we came onto our mats today. Maybe you grab one of those blocks and just kind of recenter into that space. Both are options. If you wanted to stay in child's pose, you can always use the blocks underneath your hands. Maybe a little lift of the chest. Maybe that is helpful in maintaining your own space. And as you come back into your breath, as we did when we first arrived onto our mat, we were exploring what it felt like to feel expansion not only in the front of the body within the belly, but were we able to feel that sensation of breathing into the sides of the rib cage, into the back of the rib cage? One, did that feel accessible? And then 2, were you able to create a little bit more space just by using your breath? And that's something that I want you to tune in this moment. And so whether you're able to do so in child's pose or a sitting position, be where you need to be for at least the next 5 breaths. And if you are settled into your moment and you're feeling good and you're feeling comfy, please stay there for maybe even 5 more breaths. Just hang out. There is absolutely no rush off of your mat. Take your time, enjoy the space that you created with today's flow. And I hope you enjoyed today's flow. If you did, please feel free to like this particular video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the future classes that are posted here on this platform. I appreciate all of y'all for being here and flowing with me. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Peace.